good morning, good afternoon, good evening from where the world you are joining in from. A very warm welcome to another episode of Voices of Community, our monthly webinar series where we bring in QA experts and global testing experts to explore what's next in the world of software testing. I'm your host, Spursh Kesri, Senior Developer Relations Engineer at Lantest. So feel free to reach out to me if you are interested in contributing more to software testing community. We are always looking to spotlight great stories and learn from each other. We will explore how AI models understand not only text, but also images, audios, and how we are transforming the way we write, execute, and scale tests, making shift-left testing more intelligent and more automated and far more efficient. And today, to lead us through this exciting topic, we have with us Asmita Praval, QE manager at EPAM Systems. With nearly 2 decades of experience, Asmita brings deep expertise in test automation, AI-powered quality engineering, and technology consulting. She is the one not only understands the big picture, but also knows how to apply cutting-edge tech in practical and meaningful ways. Asmita, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Welcome to Voices of Community.
Thank you so much, Sparsh. And likewise, it's always an honor to be associated with Lambda Test. Like I follow you guys, and you guys doing tremendous job when it comes to QE as a community.
Thank you so much, Asmita. Uh, Before I hand over the stage to Asmita, just a quick note. As you might already be familiar with the format of the webinar, we will have a QA segment towards the end of the session. So feel free to drop your questions anytime in the QA panel, and we'll try to cover as many as of them we can in the end. With that, over to you, Asmita.
Thank you. Thanks, Sparsh. Thank you so much. Let me quickly share my screen. Okay, so I hope you guys can see the presentation now.
Asmita, yes.
Yeah, just give me 1 second. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Parsh, and thanks again, everyone, for attending this particular conversation. So I'll definitely like to take you through the presentation for today. The intention behind this presentation is how can we leverage GenAI, specifically multimodal AI, in order to redefine the boundaries of shift-left testing. So for today, right, since the agenda says redefining the boundaries of shift-left testing with multimodal AI, let's look into what multimodal AI is all about. How are these models built? And then we'll also see how we can apply these models into what are basically, shift-left testing practices, activities. How do we leverage multimodal AI into these activities? I have set up a quick show and tell as well, or a demonstration as well, to showcase a few use cases, especially from the testing side, that we can leverage, where we can leverage GenAI, and then we can conclude, and then we'll be open for a Q&A session. All right. So, what is multimodal LLMs basically? So as we see, right, like we have like the initial versions of ChatGPT was a unimodal LLM, which basically took text as an input and gave us text as an output. So basically, a unimodal LLM can handle one type of or modality at a time. Multimodal LLMs basically refer to AI systems that can process, understand, and generate multiple types of data like text, image, audio, or any other type of information, and produce more accurate and sophisticated results. So basically, what they do is they take in different types of data. They also understand, like this. These LLMs also leverage the relationship between these data, so that we get sophisticated outcomes. Now, this, as we can see, is very closer to human cognition. So like as humans, we are basically multimodal in itself, right? So for example, when I was preparing for this topic, or even before, right, I leveraged information from blogs, which is text, YouTube videos, which is video and audio, and etc. And based on that, I assimilated all the information, understood, and then here comes the outcome, right? So similarly, a multimodal AI, a function as well. Now, according to one of the surveys, right, it said that multimodal market for multimodal AI is growing fast at a CAGR of approximately 35% per year, and it's predicted to reach 8.4 billion by 2030. The few multimodal LLMs that are available as of today are OpenAI has GPT-4 Vision as well as GPT-4o now, that can take in any type of input and convert it to text. Similarly, we have so Google has Gemini Pro. And the even the latest the latest versions as well. Then we have Llama Vision, which is also multimodal and takes different types of input. Meta has ImageBind, which can again take any type. Like I think it can take approximately 6 type of modalities and process the information. We have Flux as well, which takes in text and converts it into an image. So basically, depending upon the use case, depending upon the ask, as well as the other factors, we can definitely select which LLM suits our need. In fact, we can also leverage a combination of these LLMs as well in order to achieve the outcome that we intend to. A few use cases that we can that we where we could leverage multimodal AI are, say, so for example, describe. So if you have an image and if you want to describe it, or say for example, if you have test results and then if you would want to write a note or a summary about of those results, right? So we can pass that image or results and then ask the multimodal LLM to describe the image. It can interpret as well. So if you have, say, for example, automation results or performance results, we can interpret the results as well. We could provide an image and ask for recommendations from multimodal AI. We could convert as well. So, say, for example, if we have text, we could convert that text to an image as well. We can extract information. It is also used to assist. So, there are multiple products or use cases, that are being leveraged where multimodal AIs, are being used in order to help the specially abled. So, say for example, if I have impaired vision, I could use these applications to look for my spectacle or any other aspect. If I have a reading disability, I can just scan for say details of any product, and I would get the information in the modality that I can work with. All right. So basically, this is the background about multimodal AI and a few use cases. Now let's take a look into how these multimodal AIs are built. So basically, multimodal AIs are models that are developed in different ways on top of an existing LLM. All right. So so the high level overview of these multimodal models are that we take an LLM. Now it could be a pre-trained LLM, or we could assemble the entire LLM architecture. All right. Now we augment this LLM with an ability to process different types of or multiple modalities, like be it a text, image, or an audio. And then at the end as well, we add components so that we can get output like from text to any other modality, like again, an image, audio, or a text. All right. The reason why we use LLM here is, although it converts only text to text, but the base LLM acts here as a core reasoning model. The We have always seen that the reason why it works is, LLMs have strong ability to acquire knowledge. So especially since when they're pre-trained, they definitely come with a lot of acquired knowledge, based on the training. Plus we can always train these LLMs as well, depending upon the domain and the use case that we are looking for. Along with the ability to retain the knowledge, we have also seen that LLMs have ability to pick concepts as well based on the pre-training. So once you start feeding in information and training, right, LLMs can pick up a concept um, uh, based on the different threads, and not necessarily from a single stream. And also we have seen now, and with this, right, they can with this ability to retain the knowledge, we can and picking the concepts, we can also, this will also help the LLM in order to create outputs in various formats. Also, we can steer zero shot capabilities with these text based LLMs. Now, what does zero shot capability mean? That using, so once so we can use these LLM models to perform tasks that they have never been trained on. So by using text instructions, we can have these models perform tasks that they have never been trained on. All right. Now, so while this is the basic architecture, there are multiple ways in which multimodal models are built. One of the mechanisms is to augment LLMs by tools. So our starting point would be a pre-trained LLM. So we take an LLM which will act as our core reasoning engine. So say for example, if I want to convert an image, or convert an image to a audio caption of that image, right? So what we could do is take in the image and pass it through a model that can convert or detect images, right? So say for example, we can pass it through clip or lava as the model, which would convert this image into text. We can then augment the text with our prompt and pass through the pre-trained LLM. Similarly, at the output side, we can take in the output of this LLM, add prompts on top of it, and pass it through other model like Bark, for example, which can generate audio from the text, and then we would be able to achieve the overall cycle of converting image to an audio, right? So we could use different combinations. So say for example, if I want to summarize a YouTube video, I could go reverse. I could take in Bark as the input model, pass the entire YouTube video through the Bark model, transcribe it, and then pass it through the LLM in order to get a text summarization, right? Or Similarly, now the advantages of this particular mechanism is that it is simple to implement, since we are using most of the pre-trained model. It is simple to implement, and we needn't be the experts in the entire Gen AI and science zone. Similarly, there is no training data needed, as these models are already pre-trained. But of course, it comes with a trade-off. We here depend completely upon the ability or the capabilities of the models that we are using, and we not don't necessarily have the ability to customize these models depending upon the needs. And also we can see that we have multiple models working with each other. While it looks seamless on paper, in actuality it may not be as simple to integrate these models seamlessly. So to overcome this particular challenge, right, we can then also create multimodal LLMs using adapters. So what we would do is, the architecture is almost similar. So say for example, if I want to convert an image, or redefine an image, right? Refine an image, right? So I can still take, say for example, clip as the image encoder. So we could pass our image through clip as a image encoder, which basically takes the image and creates a dense vector representation of this image, right? Then we could pass this vector representation through a encoding adapter, basically, which will take in the vector representation that was the output of the clip model, and bring it to a representation that is familiar to the LLM model. All right, so let's take a deep dive into it. So say for example, when I say that, we'll take a clip model, and so the clip model takes in the image and converts it into a vector representation. So let's see what a vector representation or embedding is. So embeddings basically are useful machine understandable numeric representation of the data that we have learned via the model training, right? And it could be any type of data. It could be text, image, or audio. So each, or in fact, each type of data will have its own vector representation or an embedding. Now, what are multimodal embeddings is when we align these embeddings, or when we align embeddings from different representation or different modalities with each other, right? That is where multimodal embedding comes into picture, and a few mechanisms in order to create these or generate these multimodal embeddings. There are multiple options available. So let me just zoom into contrastive learning. So I'll not get into a lot of details, but I just wanted to introduce you all to a familiar concept. So say for example, the way we interpret or learn, right? So see, for example, if I have an image of a puppy, a caption, cute puppy, or a bark sound, right? Now all these three different types of modalities, right, in essence mean or represent a puppy, right? So this is also how the way modals or this models would work, in which for the same context or meaning, so each of this representation, right, be it the image of a puppy, the caption, or the audio sound, would have a vector associated to it. We would train the model to have so that the similarities between the related information would be maximum. So for example, we can see, and the way we achieve it is using positive pairs and negative pairs. So as we can see here, we have two images and two captions, a puppy, a kitten, and a caption stating a cute puppy and a cute kitten. So the similarity between a cute puppy as a text and as image is the one that I've represented in green. So we maximize the similarity between these two vectors and minimize the at the same time minimize the similarity. So if we can see here, between the image of a puppy and a cute kitten, we minimize the cosine similarities so as to indicate the alignment of these representation, or the similarities of the concepts or the meanings. All right, so I have also referenced a paper on this slide. So if anybody is interested in the math behind it, right, it is pretty intensive. So if you are interested, you can definitely explore it as well. So the overall idea is that uh, align the embeddings in such a way that we maximize the similarity between the related or the embeddings with the same meanings. And then there are also various fusion techniques. So once you have information from multiple modalities, right, there are different ways to fuse this information as well. So say for example, we have early fusion, in which the modalities are fused rather into a single representation at the input level itself. So say now this again would be helpful, especially when we have the same type of modalities to work with. So say for example, if I have a product detail from a gadgets website, and it's a feedback, say from Amazon, right? So basically it's text representation, so I can fuse the information at the input level itself and pass it through the model. Intermediate fusion, just as we saw, in which we'll process each modality into a latent, or bring process each modality to bring them to a common latent representation, and then pass it through a model which can be processed, and then we could get the and the same could be happen at the outcome side as well. Or late fusion, in which of course with intermediate fusion we get better customization capabilities. In late fusion, what we could also do is pass every modality model through its own model, interpret the information, and then fuse the output. Of course, the drawback here is that when each modality, right, is passed, say for example, if I pass text through ChatGPT and image through Flux, for example, right, each model is interpreting the information in isolation and not necessarily the way they are supposed to work with each other, right? Hence, the late fusion may not be as useful. We could also use combination of different fusion techniques, again, depending upon the use case and the type of modality that we are working on. All right. So with this, let's take a look at the third type of approach towards building these LLMs. So the third one is unified models, in which the models or the LLMs at the time of training itself are work on mixed modalities, so that the models itself are trained to take in text. The same model is basically trained to take in text, audio, as well as image, and to output the information as well into different modalities. Of course, it definitely needs a lot of compute and massive data in order to train such LLMs, and there are advanced technical challenges as well. Um, um, ChatGPT 4 as well as Gemini, right, are a few examples of unified models. All right. So while we saw, what multimodal AI is all about and how it's built, right? Let's quickly take a look into what shift left testing is, and overall what activities are there, that we perform as testers, and how we could bring in Gen AI to improve the overall, experience, right? So we have seen that, back into waterfall model or in traditional SDLC, testing used to always happen after the coding was completed. Then came in agile, where we broke down the entire product development lifecycle into iterations, and the product was delivered incrementally, um, which is also where we introduced shift left testing, which is basically moving testing to the early stages of the project, right? So if I take a look at a sprint or or any of the agile methodology, right, the overall activities that we perform, right, as a tester, would be like creating test plan. Now this of course could be at a PI level or overall at a product level, but we definitely need to understand the test objectives, understand the product that we are building, the test techniques that are applicable, and accordingly schedule for the test activities as well as the deliverables. Preparing for the test environment, again, we could have a DevOps team to take care of this, or it could be with the test team as well. Once the sprint begins, or during for every sprint, right, we review the feature documentation. It could be verifying the requirements, verifying the data needs. The requirements could be documents, as well as augmented with user stories, and then creating functional test cases. Here we create functional test cases based on the user stories, the UI design, and then of course we upload them into a test management tool, maintain the traceability, and plan the test execution also based on these test cases. Automate the regressions, preferably the regression suite, where we generate automated test cases. It could be the traditional frameworks that we use, or in BDD format. Again, based on the functional tests that we have written, or the user stories and the wireframes. Um, each of the test case, right, be it functional test case writing or automated, goes to a review cycle to verify the correctness of the scenarios, and we integrate with the CI pipeline as well for the to maximize the use of test automation. Um, we also, like for seamless test automation, we also prepare test data. It could be generating the data or leveraging APIs to fetch the data, and it uh, basically. And then as we subsequently proceed into different sprints, right, there comes in test case maintenance to cope up with the changes that are happening within the application, and we conclude every sprint with a test result report, right? Now while these are the traditional methods that we follow even today in agile, they are so although we have automation testing, but to create a creation of automation testing, or this process right now, is still a manual process, where we have to create create these artifacts and information. So this is where now GenAI, can add a new dimension and automate this entire process, which can, make it a lot more efficient and effective, and the gains would be multifold. So, for example, we could leverage multimodal AI, in which we take in the document in sorry, the user requirements in form of a document, or in form of a text, or support it with Figma or the user designs as well, and review the entire feature documentation. We could also leverage the same information and outcome in order to create functional test cases, and not only create functional test cases, but we could create this test cases in a format that we want. Say for example, if you want test cases as a in Excel, or if you want the test cases to be generated and say logged into X-ray, we could now automate this entire process of generation of test cases as well as logging them. Same goes for test automation as well, or even preparing the test data. All right, so let's quickly take a look at how we can scale and adapt to these test activities using AI. So let me share my uh, Google AI Studio. So I hope you're able to see my screen.
Yes, Asmita.
Okay,
Yes, Kamlesh.
okay, sure. So for this presentation, for this show and tell purpose, right, I've used Google Gemini's Pro model. You could definitely try it out with ChatGPT 4o as well, or any other model that is available. So for the ease of the demo, right, I've created a few prompts that we could take a look at. So for example, I've created this prompt in order to generate. So in order to generate user stories, basically based on the information that is present over the web, to create and basically outline detailed user stories. So again, there are various frameworks that are available for a prompt, to construct a prompt, and I would definitely encourage each one of you to leverage these models, because the outcome would be as good as the prompt. So I've mentioned the role, task, and the rules for these use rules to be followed for these user stories, and my expected output structure. So once I gave this, so for this demo purpose, right, I've used this a particular application, inventory.org, which is like a simulated application in order to maintain the entire supply chain information. So one of the concepts is to create a company, and the specific use case that I've taken for this demonstration is to edit a company. So if I have to edit, like the feature is to edit a company, what would be my use cases? So based on the documentation, I had run through this particular prompt through the model, and based on that, the and based on the prompt, right, this is the output that I got: various user stories in order, like editing company name, description, etc., etc. So I took this as a input, and basically I had given this, so I had picked one user story, which is to modify the company role. So basically a company, let me just quickly share the edit screen. Yeah. So if I want to edit a company, right, so that's why we see that there's description, website, currency. So I can edit multiple aspects of a company. So say for example, if I want to change the company type, right, from supplier to manufacturer, or if a company was one of our suppliers but now manufactures as well, and if I want to edit edit its settings where it says that it is a manufacturer as well, right? So basically modify company roles. So this is where I've asked this is basically I've picked the user story documentation, and I've asked this particular model or prompt to read and analyze the acceptance criteria and generate test cases. I've also given the format in which I would want the test cases to be written. plus class I have requested for classification of positive negative scenarios and headings. So based on that, right, I would execute every prompt that I have written, but we could but I just want to take you through now in this particular prompt, right? What I have done is I have just mentioned the user story and not the Figma design. So I have not included this UI, this picture or image of UI in this particular prompt, right? So as you can see, the test cases are generated. However, based on the description of the user stories, the test case generation definitely has been fair enough. But as we can see here, the controls exam, so it has anticipated. So basically, the model has anticipated the type of controls that we can see. So for example, here they say, here it says observe the is customer, is supplier, and is manufacturer controls. Example checkboxes. So right now we see that in image we have a toggle button, but then the output says that it could be a checkbox. So right now it's of course the output is good, but it's based on a based on and still based on the anticipation. um, now, of course, it generated various test cases, be it, positive tests, as well as there are negative scenarios that are generated. But then the entire, test steps that we see are, more or less based on the anticipation, right? Now, if I take the same prompt, right? So I take the same prompt and along with the requirement, right? I instruct this prompt to attach to also analyze the attached Figma design. So right now this looks like a screenshot, but basically, it could also be a Figma design, a screen, an export from your Figma or any other design tools that the user experience team must be using. So basically, we can, so I can, definitely execute this test, this particular um, prompt as well. So let's take this prompt and open a new chat. All right, so the UI, so as we can see here in the UI, you can type your prompt. There is a prompt gallery available, of course, which has a lot of generic prompts, but we can take up our prompt. We can save these prompts as well into a library. As you can see here, I've saved all the prompts that I've used in as my in the library. So you can, definitely add or write the prompt. And as you can see here, there is a attachment button, so you can insert assets like images, videos, files, as well as audio. So let me upload the Figma design. All right. So what I'm giving here as an input are two modalities, as you can see here, text as well as image. And and the outcome that we are expecting is an amalgamation of both of them. So let's run this particular prompt. Just bear with me. So if you see, the entire tree of thought or line of thought is also elaborated as this model works. It's too quick for me to even relay it, but I would definitely encourage you all to give it a try. Okay. So based on this, right, the model has now started generating the output, and as we can see here, right, observe the same test case, right? Observe the is supplier, is manufacturer, and is customer toggles in view mode. So it has now it is now able to understand that it's not a checkbox, or it's not anticipating that the element or the control in order to switch the customer mode would be a checkbox, but now it is certain that it's a toggle button. And that is where we have that is where it also outputs the same in the test as well. So ideally, if we see with or without Figma, right, it isn't a major change per se. Like, somebody might be comfortable with the anticipated checkbox as well, but from a productivity standpoint, right, this particular prompt with Figma design is now giving me an accurate result, where there is a less of a rework, and the output is completely in line with the input, or the requirement that I'm working on. So say for so if I'm assigning is supplier role only, right? So what I'm trying to do is over here is that locate the is supplier toggle, ensure it is currently off, and then it has elaborated the steps as well. Click to turn it on, ensure that is manufacturer remain off, and then submit. So basically it has also generated test where we check one data at a time, and then there are tests to also check for multiple combinations, so assign multiple roles as well. And then we check the positive side by clicking on save, and then it also says that go back and check if it reflects in the company details, right? um, Similarly, once there are tests I've seen where you make the changes but cancel and then go back and see basically if the changes didn't take an effect. So of course there will be a lot of fine tuning that we'll have to do, be it at a prompt level as well as at the run settings level. And we can definitely gauge the setting that works best for the situation. But overall, this is how we could leverage multimodal AI in order to generate, say, for example, functional test cases. Now, if I move on, right, once you have the functional test cases with you, if you want to generate test automation scripts, right? So here, what I have done is I've generated the test automation scripts, or the entire code using the traditional traditional framework where we used to have a page object layer as well as um, the test layer, right? So what I'm doing is I'm passing again text information in form of a prompt. I have also attached the test cases, so I took the extract of test cases from the previous outcome, and then also attaching the screen, particularly the edit company screen. In my instruction, I've asked definitely to read through the text cases, and also refer to the Figma and come up with the page object layer. I have also asked the prompt to, or prompted basically to generate the test layer. I'm assuming a TestNG based unit test framework and Java as the programming language. You could always change the program. So programming language again is a variable. You could definitely parameterize as well. Like you could use different IDs and parameterize these inputs as well. You could generate codes as well from these from these prompts. Um, I have asked it to, identify the steps and validations, write separate or different, test scripts, and comment the code as well, right? So based on this, I had later on I refined the particular the next prompt to assume a base layer. So you can always provide your existing framework or its documentation as well, so that it doesn't generate the base page or the base class every time. All right. So it still generated, it has generated the base page, and the basic um, basic methods that it needs. What I'd also instructed, via the prompt is that don't only generate the page object model for the Figma, but also the other activities that you would need in order to execute, or in order to execute the end-to-end test case, right? So, for example, it has then also anticipated that if I'm on a edit company screen, there must be a company list somewhere, out of which I'll have to find a company, go to the company page, and then click on an edit button, which would take me to the edit screen. So as you can see here, it has anticipated this company details um, a class as well. Of course, when we would execute this as a full-fledged project, right, we would run through the company details page as well with the similar process. But for this demo sake, right, as we can see here, it anticipated company details page, and that it has a company edit company button. Then we see that. there is a click so there is a click action given to edit click company, and then it has also the return type is a edit company page, so that we can seamlessly access methods from the edit company page. All right. um, so if we scroll further, this is the edit company page or edit company page class. Basically, as we can see here, there are all these web elements that we can see. There is an input field for description for website. There is a drop down for currency. The IDs are right now assumed. We can again, provide some examples of IDs based on our experience with the application, or based on the the development style, so that it can then predict more, or more accurate IDs as well. Or we could also have these as placeholders. Once you have the UI ready, we could feed in the actual XPaths as well. If I quickly scroll down to the methods, right, in the interest of time, we can see here that it has also generated methods to enter description, enter website, select the currency, and setting of customer state, where you can setting say supplier state, where you can pass in the desired state that you would want, the like say for example, if you want to set it as manufacturer or customer, and you can pass on and off as the desired state, right? And once you click on submit button, it again, as we can see here, takes us back to the company details page. So say from productivity standpoint, right, we are definitely, we can definitely see that a lot of our foundation, or gets generated, or a lot of generation, or a lot of automation, code generation, right, gets got automated now, which would definitely have huge impact on our productivity. We are definitely, the models are not mature yet, and we still need human in the loop. We'll still have to be in the loop, and not take the output as it is, but refine where needed. We can refine the model prompt as well as the model as well, to tune in or to get to a kind of accuracy that we want. We could also write or we could also have similar use cases to review the tests as well. So we can use some other models. So there's a concept called as LLM as a judge, where we can use say a different model in order to review these test cases, so that we pass it through a fresh perspective. So there are multiple use cases again that we can leverage with agentic AI as well, right? We can create agents that can take user stories, based on user stories generate test cases, like handover from each other. The test cases would then invoke, we can then invoke test cases to log information into say X-ray. We can then have components to generate automation code, and then review, etc., etc., right? So we could write agents as well for this end-to-end flow. um, Now, coming back, I had also asked the model to take care of the test data generation. So, and again, one of the aspects that I had also given was that, as you can see, right, the test cases, said that I want to say have only a company as a supplier, as a manufacturer, as so there were similar patterns of the test cases. So I had also asked or instructed to have maximum reusability, so that the maintenance is seamless. So as we can see here, there is a get role combination data provider that has been created, which is then then passed through this test layer. So as you can see here, there is a test layer as well. So we um, so okay, so this is the edit company roles test. So we can see here that for the test, right? So so as you can see here, at the rate test verify toggles is interactive. So as you can see here, the data pro where is the data provider? Yeah. So where we are, so this is modifying basically, where we want to modify the test company roles, right? So basically here we are also providing the data provider along with the description of the test case, so that the same test can work on multiple, multiple combinations of data. And so that we use the same set of code, so that the reusability is maxed out. All right. Now, similarly, we can also now, while this was generated in traditional test format, we can also write prompts in order to generate the test cases in or the scenarios in BDD form or Gherkin format. Again, we can input the precise instructions based on your requirements and the language of choice as well. So as you can see here, the rest of the aspects are similar, but if I take you through the scenarios, right? So as you can see here, um, where I wanted when I want to assign various single roles, right, it has written one scenario and executed in three iterations using examples, so that we again achieve a data driven scenario, data driven test. Similarly, for modifying multiple company roles as well, we have given different type of combinations, right? So again, it has taken examples or basically added a data driven feature in order to cover this scenario. All right. um, from like what we're assuming here is that Figma design is ready, and then we would start working on it. But even if you have a conversation, like say for example you are closely working and collaborating with the BAs and the user experience team as well as the development team, right? And even if you have, like say for example, as you can see here, um, there is this Figma that there's this Figma that I have, and I have created, say, a sketch also. So, say for example, instead of Figma, if you just have sketch based on your conversation with the user experience team as well as the as overall, right? So we can input these sketches as well as and attach these sketches as well in addition to our text prompt, and generate the outcome. So if we can see here, right now in this particular prompt, I've instructed to create only the page object model, and I think it did a fair job. So as you can see here, there's a page title header for edit company, then there's an input field for description. For website, there is a select element for currency, phone, email ID, and then a toggle input for is supplier, is manufacturer, as well, right? So we can see that it has created these elements, and then it has created it created the interactions or the methods as well to enter description, to enter the website details, select currency, and if I just scroll down, set the supplier status or set the manufacturer status, etc. So it's not so again, and that's why I say that the title of this session is to redefine the boundary. So we used to even if we were agile and we practice shift left testing, but the automation team needed a UI to work with. We can now work with the wireframe or the Figma design, or we can take a step back as well and just work with a sketch of the UI as well and still get started with test automation efforts. We can always refine the prompts as well as the output, to make it more accurate, but we'll definitely have a foundation to begin with. All right. So this is all about the demo that I wanted to cover for today. Overall, we can see that we can automate the process or creation or generation rather of these artifacts, be it functional test cases, automation, or even test data, and achieve not only effort productivity or productivity improvements with respect to effort, but we can also now aim for higher test coverage, which in turn improves the quality. There is a faster feedback loop as well. All right, so these are the benefits overall of integrating GenAI in testing. Now, how do we go about it? So So definitely, my recommendation would be for you all to learn these aspects. Secondly, work closely with your stakeholders and create an AI strategy where you can define the AI vision with all these stakeholders. You'll also have to assess your current practices. So you can go back to your projects, your products, your organization, and run basically an assessment as to what is your current state and what is the to be state that you want to get in, what are the gaps that you want to address immediately. And overall, engage the internal stakeholders as well as your customers to fill this gap, and then we can prioritize basically the use cases and pick basically identify the use cases, and you can always prioritize them based on the business value, need, and feasibility as well. So once you prioritize, we can always create the roadmap for the AI adoption and what would be the governance around it. One important lever in this is definitely going to be that setting up a community or setting up basically readying up the talent when it comes to AI literacy. So it could definitely be managed via trainings, workshops, hands-on workshops, endorsing the new ways of working across your organization, and in turn institutionalizing the overall AI accelerated testing. All right. So this is what I had from my side. Thank you so much for patiently listening through this entire session. Over to you, Sparsh.
Thank you, Asmita. Thank you for the wonderful session. You basically covered everything that people need to start using AI in their testing processes. And
Sure.
hope it was
Thanks.
useful for all of you. So feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A section and we'll take them right now. Meanwhile, let me start with a few questions that have been come up. So the first question is, what foundational skills like prompt engineering or model file tuning should our QA teams prioritize to maximize the value of multimodal AI?
Yeah, so I think the answer is within the question itself. I would definitely encourage to that we take say no, if not white box, gray box approach as well when it comes to understanding these models. So I would definitely request I would definitely recommend that we understand how do these models work behind the scene. But yes, when it comes to using or applying these models for it as a tester's role, right? The key is going to be prompt. So we'll have to definitely know the different frameworks of prompt, and when to use which type of a prompt. Writing accurate prompts again is going to be going to be the key. And then along with the prompt, right, there are a lot of settings that we can leverage, like the temperature setting, for example, which can help us to regulate the randomness of the output, right? So understanding these additional parameters, not setting the additional parameters along with the prompt, that is going to help us regulate the output. Also the clarity of use cases is going to be the important. It's not that we apply AI anywhere and everywhere. So you'll have to also prioritize the right use case in which in which would again make sense where we can use these models as well. So I think understanding the use case, prioritizing it, and then of course knowing the prompts and the prompt engineering aspects. There are a lot of there is a lot of depth within prompt engineering as well. Like you can provide examples, you can provide detailed instructions. In fact, as I said, right, we are coming up with agents as well. So in fact, especially if I also talk about the tester, right, along with these prompts, like even multimodal AI, right, other concepts such as RAG, retrieval augmented generation. So we'll have to know these concepts as well, because we can always combine these two concepts as well. So if we have multimodal AI, right, which can now read through Figma, and then we have RAG, which where I can input the entire domain knowledge, or where I can train the model to have the entire domain knowledge or the contextual knowledge at hand, right? Once you combine these two information, again, that will come in handy. So I think there are a lot of concepts that you can go through, of course, sequentially. But to begin with, I agree that it's about the prompts. So uh, you know excelling in prompt engineering would be one of the key.
After using AI, you realize that the way you structure your prompt is very important, and prompt engineering is
Yeah,
a real focus domain that people should spend time on.
certainly. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Smita. Moving on to the next question. How can we ensure multimodals AI auto-redact PII informations in the test artifacts while retaining context?
Could you repeat?
How can we ensure
Mhm.
multimodals auto-redact PII informations in test artifacts while retaining contexts?
Okay, so personal information, right? While retaining the context. PI data, right? Sorry, I think I'm not shared. I cannot see the screen, but yeah. I think this is where again, since as we saw, right, multimodal AIs are also capable of scraping the information or extracting the information. So that could also be a part of our instruction or our prompt, wherein we can instruct or provide examples of sensitive information that we would want to mask. We could also have prompts written specifically for test data generation, so that we don't use the production information per se, or the information that we see, but we can generate our bespoke data as well. So again, so that we again don't run into the issues where the PII data is getting leaked. So I think you can handle it at a prompt level, but of course you'll have to test it a lot, and tweak or tune it to make it more accurate, or have your own test data generation uh, prompts written as well, so that you can generate your own test data, be it on the retrieval side of it, or generating the data synthetically. So that would be my recommendation.
Thanks, Asmita. It makes sense. Thanks, Asmita. Uh, Moving on to the next question. Hi, Smita. You mentioned 20 to 60% efficiency gains while using multimodal AI. What cost factors should we evaluate before scaling GenAI assisted QA across large projects? Cost versus ROI.
Yeah, sure. So that's where so when I also said, right, the AI so when I said the roadmap as to how do you implement AI, right? So that is where we'll also have to understand like what are the use cases at hand. So what are the use cases at hand? What is the cost of operating in the traditional mode that we are, right? So for example, if it's a large project, right, it definitely translates into a bigger team, um, and hence a bigger like a wider workforce as well. So definitely you are anyways as of now operating with a lot of quality engineers or test teams as well, right? So we can always look into that. Once we bring in Gen AI, right, with by saving 20% of my productivity, and of course LLMs come with a cost. So there are multiple models that are available, and multiple configurations available as well. So what we could always weigh in is what are the efforts or costs that I'm saving when it comes to the workforce side of it, as opposed to the cost of the LLMs, and how I can optimize the use of Gen AI so that I incur a lesser cost. Similarly, again, uh, the path towards Gen AI is inevitable as well, right? So while we'll have to adopt it, and so that we the test team can focus on multiple other strategic aspects, right? I think picking the prioritizing the use cases that is going to give you the maximum ROI, like or the ones that are repeatable the most, right? So for example, generation of functional test cases, test automation scripts and data, picking these aspects, because as we could see here, right, the productivity savings could range up to 30 to 60% as well. Prioritizing and picking them first, so that you automate the larger chunk of the work, and hence get better ROI, you know could be a strategy that we undertake.
Thanks, Asmita. Uh, I think we are on time, so let's pick up the last question,
Okay,
and
sure,
we will share the answers to the remaining questions in on our community page shortly.
sure, sure,
Uh,
sure.
so the last question is, are there any industry-specific benchmarks for AI-assisted testing, and how do we set realistic expectations for our leadership?
So yes, definitely, like the models that we are working with are, and that's a good question, actually. The models that we are working with, right, are still maturing. Even the approach is maturing, and at times, that we see, right, the output, when it comes to the outcome, right, it's, I like even the tests and the negative scenarios that I was generating, right. Um, like the model was hallucinating a lot, and also creating, say, situations or scenarios that doesn't exist in the requirement. So right now, we are still in the stage of AI adoption where we have human in loop. We can definitely have tuning mechanisms at the a model level, as well as at the agent or the prompt level. So that could be one aspect. But overall, I think from the stakeholder perspective, I think it's the productivity improvement, definitely, that we can showcase. I don't think we have the industry benchmarks yet. I can definitely research and get back on it. But the value that we can definitely, the value that we can showcase as of now, definitely would be the productivity gains, and the improvement and productivity, again, not only with respect to the efficiency, like being efficient, but also being effective. I think would be the key at this stage. But definitely we can watch for the future. And I think this landscape is changing almost every day or every moment. So um, so we would definitely in a couple of years be in a state where we would definitely look for, or rather have more accurate results.
Thank you so much, Asmita, for answering all the questions. And to the question, Bharat, uh, yes, we will be sharing the recording post the session. It will be live on our YouTube channel as well within next 2 to 3 days. So feel free to browse. I will also be sharing the recording of the session on email by tomorrow or day after tomorrow. So yeah. With that note, thank you so much, Asmita, and thank you so much to everyone for joining and listening. Hope hope we shared a lot of good insights and you will be able to implement in your day-to-day testing scenarios.
Thanks, Spurs. Thanks to Lambda Test, and thank you everyone for attending this session. Have a good day ahead, and keep learning. And definitely, we can exchange a few notes.
Thank you so much, Asmita. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.